Mersa by Keith Douglas, 1920 to 1944, and this was written after October 1942. This blue half-circle of sea, moving transparently on sand as pale as salt, was Cleopatra's hotel. Here is a guest house built and broken utterly since. An amorous modern prince lived in this scoured shell. Now from the skeletal town the cherry-skinned soldiers stroll down to undress, to idle on the white beach. Up there the immensely long road goes by to Tripoli. The wind and dust reach the secrets of the whole poor town, whose masks would still deceive a passer-by. Faces with sightless doors for eyes and cracks like tears oozing at corners. A dead tank alone leans where the gossips stood. I see my feet like stones under water. The logical little fish converge and nip at the flesh, imagining I am one of the dead. Okay, this is a poem by Keith Douglas. Keith Douglas was a British poet born near in Tunbridge Wells. He went to Merton College, Oxford, and studied history, and I think he graduated in 1940. He went to the desert and was part of the 8th Army that fought Rommel in the desert. And this is one of his poems from the desert campaign. He then went to the invasion of Normandy, the invasion of France, and was killed in Normandy, age 24. This poem is describing Mersa Matruh. It's a place on the Mediterranean coast, just to the west of Port Said and Cairo, and there were various battles in this place during the Second World War. But he's describing this place. It looks. It's completely destroyed. This is something that has been here for almost forever. I think this place was a port used by the Romans, and even before that. And he's just describing he's describing the scenes, and I think he's thinking about his life, and I think he's also thinking about the fact that he's probably not going to survive this war. I think he's fairly convinced he's going to die. He's almost one of the dead, and his feet are dangling in the water, and the fish are biting his feet, thinking that he's already one of the dead. But I think this is very, very descriptive. With it's a description of the scene, and it gives a little bit of how he's feeling as well, which I think is quite unusual for him. The blue half-circle of sea, moving transparently on sand as pale as salt, was Cleopatra's hotel. So he's setting the scene, and he's looking, and there is the blue sea on one side, and clearly he's on a beach with sand that is as pale as salt. the sand that is white. So we've got this vision of a world of blue and white, and also the sea is transparent, and this is where Cleopatra lived. This is the land of Cleopatra. This is a land which is incredibly old. Here is a guest house built and broken utterly since. And here is the place. There's a guest house, perhaps a hotel. And this was this has been built and then destroyed after the time of Cleopatra. An amorous modern prince lived in this scoured shell. So there's a guest house, a building, and a modern prince, a prince after Cleopatra, has come here, and he has he built this guest house, this house, and he lived in this. But this building is now utterly broken. It's destroyed. It's been destroyed by time, or it's been destroyed by the war. It's the product of the destruction. So this is the land of Cleopatra, and people have come and lived here since, and there's this broken building. Now from the skeletal town the cherry-skinned soldiers stroll down to undress, to idle on the white beach. So there are soldiers, and the soldiers are coming out of the town, and they walk to the beach because they're going to relax on the beach. And they're cherry skinned, so their skins have gone red, or this reddish brown, in this intense sunshine, in this intense African sun. And they're going to relax on the beach. And now we've got another colour. So we've got the blue sea, the white sand, the white beach, and this cherry colour, the skin of the soldiers. Up there, the immensely long road goes by to Tripoli. And here there is this road which is going to Tripoli in Libya. And this is the road that goes along the coast. The wind and dust reach the secrets of the whole poor town, whose masks would still deceive a passer-by. So there's wind and there's dust, and the wind and the dust are blowing, and the whole place seems full of secrets. This town which pretends pretends to be something, would still trick a passer-by, but into I think this town would trick a passer-by into believing that it's completely destroyed, that this is something of the past, this is a place of history that is dead. Faces with sightless doors for eyes, with cracks like tears oozing at corners. So here we have the buildings, and the windows are the eyes of these buildings, and there are cracks on the edge, and these cracks are like the tears coming down from the building, and it's like the buildings are crying for about what has happened. They're crying about the people who have died. They're crying about the war. They're crying about for the loss of the past. A dead tank alone leans where gossip stood. So there's a tank that has been destroyed, and this tank is in the place where people stood and gossiped. So there is this destruction in this place that is old. It's very old. I see my feet like stones underwater. So he's clearly sitting somewhere, perhaps on a rock, and his feet are in the water. The logical little fish converge and nip the flesh, imagining I am one of the dead. And the fish are coming and they are biting at his feet, because the fish think that he's just another of the dead bodies, and this implies there are a lot of dead bodies. A lot of people have died here, and the fish think he's just another one of the dead. So we've got this feeling of sadness at the destruction caused, the deaths of so many people, the destruction of this place where this which was a hotel of Cleopatra, which has been part of the history, the landscape for millennia. So, Mersa by Keith Douglas.